A guard captain barked orders. Security drones formed a circle around the predator, weapons aimed. Delegates shouted objections, some in terror, some in anger, some in cruel excitement. This is insanity. If it breaks free, we all die. Do it! Let the human be consumed! Let the galaxy see the truth! The human ignored them all. He stepped closer to the predator, placing a hand once again on its scaled head. The beast rumbled softly, lowering itself further. The chair raised its staff. Then hear this. If that monster attacks, if it kills even one being in this chamber, humanity will be cast out forever. The human's voice did not tremble. Then watch and learn. The predator's golden eyes flickered, watching the human. Slowly, carefully, the human gave a single command. Stay. The predator obeyed. The chamber filled with shocked gasps, screams, disbelief. Some could not believe what they saw. Others were furious. Others were terrified beyond reason. The predator did not move. Not when the drones inched closer. Not when weapons glowed hotter. Not even when alien guards shouted and aimed rifles directly at its head. It stayed, because the human had told it to, and the council had no words. The silence was shattered by a deafening roar, not from the council, not from the guards, but from the predator itself. The sound shook the walls, rattled the floor, froze every being in place. It was not a roar of attack, it was a roar of warning. The apex terror, the galaxy's most feared monster, had just declared to every species watching, "Touch the human, and you face me." The predator's glowing eyes turned, locking onto the human once more, and then to the horror and awe of all present. It lowered its head in submission. The chamber was silent, truly silent. For the first time in history, the predator had shown loyalty, not to a fleet, not to a weapon, but to a human. The council's records, their laws, their fears, all had been shattered. And in the silence, one truth became clear. The galaxy would never see humans the same way again. The apex terror bowed its head once more, and the chamber fell into a silence so heavy it felt eternal. The council stared at the human in disbelief. And in that silence, one thought burned in every mind. If humans can tame death itself, what else are they capable of? The council chamber trembled with unease. Every alien delegate knew the history of the apex terror. Entire archives were filled with its path of destruction. Some species had entire religions built around their fear of it. Others had scars that ran across generations, because their worlds had once felt the shadow of its wings. And now, the impossible had happened. It bowed to a human, the chamber filled with whispers, disbelief, accusations, terror. No one wanted to accept what their eyes had seen. This is a trick. Some device. Some control implant. No predator can bond. Not this. One. The council chair rose slowly. Its silver tendrils swayed with unease. Its ancient voice filled the air. Let the archives speak. The chamber darkened. From the ceiling, shimmering hollows flickered to life. Images of burning cities, shattered fleets, beasts running wild across star systems. And always, at the center of the carnage, the same creature, the apex terror. It was shown ripping apart warships as if they were toys, shattering armored battalions with one sweep of its claws, devouring entire colonies until nothing remained. The screams of billions echoed faintly through the recordings. This, the chair declared, is what humanity dares to claim as a companion, a destroyer, a nightmare, a force that has ended civilizations. The apex terror does not serve. It consumes. And you, the chair's glowing eyes fixed on the human, you expect us to believe it follows you like a trained beast. The chamber erupted in shouts of agreement. Some pounded their tables. Others demanded immediate destruction of both human and predator. But the human did not flinch. He walked slowly to the center of the chamber, where the predator crouched silently, golden eyes following his every step. He placed a hand on its massive head again, calm and steady. If it wanted blood, the human said, you would already be dead. The predator closed its eyes. A low rumble, almost like a purr, filled the air. The chamber gasped. The human turned to face the council. His voice was not loud, but it carried with the strength of truth. You show me your archives. I do not deny them. Yes, it destroyed worlds. Yes, it killed countless lives. It is dangerous, terrifying, but that is not the whole story. You only know the fear. You never tried to understand the creature. The council chair slammed its staff. Understand? What is there to understand about a beast that kills without end? The human's eyes narrowed. You assume it kills without reason, but have you asked why? Have you studied it? Have you looked closer? The chair scoffed. What closer? Every fleet we sent was destroyed. The human raised his hand again, stroking the predator's scaled brow. Then allow me to show you. Let me tell you how I met it, how this bond was formed. The chamber grew silent. Every eye turned to the human, even as disbelief lingered. Against their will, the delegates leaned in. Curiosity was a powerful thing. Even in the hearts of those drowning in fear, the human spoke. It began on the edge of explored space, a nameless world, wild and untouched. Humanity had just established its first research colony there, an outpost. For studying alien biology, the human was a scientist, not a soldier. His team studied ecosystems, gathering data for survival in harsh environments. At first, the planet seemed ordinary: thick jungles, vast deserts, oceans that stretched into endless storms. But there were whispers among the settlers. Strange. Tracks in the dirt, claw marks deeper than steel, shadows that moved at night. One evening, when the colony was quiet, alarms blared. The apex terror came. The beast descended upon the settlement like a storm given flesh. Towers cracked. Walls collapsed. Its roar split the night sky. Colonists screamed and ran. Soldiers fired uselessly. Every weapon was like a toy against its scales. The human had hidden. At first, his body shook with fear, knowing this was death incarnate. But then he heard a different sound, a cry, a child. Trapped beneath rubble, a colonist's child screamed for help as the predator stalked closer. No one dared move. Soldiers were dead or fleeing, civilians scattered like leaves. Only the human was near enough. His instincts warred inside him: run, hide, live. But he did not run. He ran toward the cry. He tore at the rubble with bleeding hands, freeing the child just as the shadow of the predator fell across them. The apex terror stood above him, towering, golden eyes burning like suns. Its maw opened, rows of teeth gleaming. The child cried louder. The human did the only thing he could. He stood tall, spreading his arms to shield the child. He looked straight into the monster's eyes. His voice shook, but he spoke anyway. You'll have to go through me first. The predator paused. It sniffed the air, its breath hot enough to sear. Its jaws closed slowly. For a heartbeat, time froze. Then it stepped back. Not far, just enough to let them live. The human never forgot that moment. In the days that followed, the colony was destroyed. Survivors scattered, but the human stayed. Behind, searching the wilds, following tracks, studying the predator from afar. He saw patterns. It did not kill everything. It hunted only when threatened, or when prey challenged it. Entire herds fled its path untouched. It avoided fights unless provoked. It was not mindless destruction. It was survival. And slowly, painfully, the human approached it again. Not with weapons, not with cages, with patience, with food offerings, with respect. The first time the predator roared and nearly tore him apart. The second time it watched. The third time it did not attack. Over months a strange bond formed. The predator tolerated his presence, then accepted it. Then one night when a different predator of the planet struck, the apex terror defended him. It had chosen him, and from then on, it followed him. The chamber was silent as the human finished. His tail, he stood tall, hand still on the predator's head. The beast leaned into the touch like a loyal hound. "You see only a monster," the human said quietly. "But I see what no one else dared to look for. A creature that can understand, that can choose, that can trust." The council chair's voice was low, filled with disbelief. "You claim the deadliest predator in history has bonded with you, that it obeys you, that it can feel loyalty." The human met the chair's gaze. "Yes," the predator growled, not in anger, but in agreement. The sound was deep, steady, vibrating through the floor. The chamber shook with fear and awe. Some delegates stared in wonder, some shook their heads violently, some demanded proof. The chair slammed its staff. "Then prove it. Here, now, before all eyes. Give it a command. If it obeys, perhaps we will listen." The human turned. He looked into the predator's golden eyes. A silent moment passed between them. Then, clearly, calmly, he gave a single order. "Sit." The predator hesitated. Only a breath. Then with a thunderous crash, it lowered itself to the ground. Claws folding, head bowed, gasps filled the chamber. Some shrieked, some whispered prayers. It had obeyed. The chair's staff fell from its trembling hand. For the first time in history, the apex terror had been commanded, and it had listened. Later, as the human stood on a balcony overlooking the alien city, the predator lay beside him, golden eyes reflecting the stars. The human whispered quietly, "We came here to prove we belonged. I think we did more than that." The predator rumbled in reply, a low sound that seemed almost like agreement. The human raised his eyes to the stars, voice steady. "The galaxy changed today, and so did we. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." The predator's head lifted, gaze fixed on the endless void, and for the first time in galactic history, the stars themselves seemed to bow. The chamber was filled with fear, disbelief, and awe. The human stood tall, predator calm at his side, and the council chair whispered the thought every delegate feared to say aloud: "If humans can command the deadliest predator in the galaxy, what power will they seize next?" The council chamber still shook with whispers. The predator had obeyed. It had sat when commanded. For the first time in history, the apex terror, the destroyer of worlds, had listened. But disbelief was a stubborn disease. Many could not accept what they had seen. "This is trickery. Some hidden device controls it. It will kill us all the moment our guard lowers." The chair's silver tendrils quivered. Its ancient voice cut through the noise. "Words are nothing. We require proof. Proof beyond doubt." The chamber stilled. The human's eyes narrowed. "What kind of proof?" The chair's voice was cold. "A trial. We will test the beast. If it is truly bound to you, it will not kill. If it is not, then your lies will end with blood." Weapons hummed to life. Security drones descended from hidden alcoves in the chamber walls, forming a circle around the predator. Their cannons glowed blue, humming with lethal energy. The human stepped forward immediately. "You will not harm it." The chair's voice boomed. "If it is what you claim, human, it will endure. If it is not, then none of us will survive unless we destroy it here and now." The chamber vibrated with the predator's growl. It rose, slightly massive claws scraping metal. The circle of drones tightened. Delegates leaned back in fear, some already activating evacuation shields. The human raised his hand, not to the council, but to the predator. "Stay," he whispered. The beast's golden eyes fixed on him. It trembled with rage, with instinct, with hunger. But slowly it lowered its head again, waiting. The chair gave the command. "Begin." The drones fired stun blasts. Blue energy struck the predator's armored hide, crackling across its scales. The creature roared in fury, shaking the chamber. But it did not move. Delegates screamed, guards raised weapons, but the human stepped forward. His voice cut through the chaos. "Hold!" The predator's eyes snapped back to him, locking onto his face. The roar faded into a rumble. It stayed where it was, muscles quivering but unmoving. Gasps filled the air. The chair's tendrils curled in disbelief. "Increase power." The drones fired again, this time with greater force. Bolts of searing energy raked across the predator's body. The smell of scorched scale filled the chamber. The predator howled, a sound that shook the very walls. Its tail lashed, smashing the floor. Delegates covered their ears in terror, yet still it did not attack. The human's voice was steady, though his face strained with the weight of the moment. "Stay with me. Hold." The predator's claws dug into the floor. Its eyes burned like suns, but it obeyed. The chamber was silent again. The chair's voice was sharp now, filled with desperation. Weapons to lethal, full barrage. The chamber erupted in shouts of protest. Some cried out that it was murder, others demanded the beast be killed. But the chair raised its staff. The order stood. Drones charged to lethal strength. Their cannons glowed like small stars. The human shouted in fury. "You'll kill it!" "If it dies," the chair declared, "then your words were lies. If it lives, then the galaxy itself must face the truth." The human turned, locking eyes with the predator. It stared back at him, body trembling, rage and pain etched into every muscle. The human raised his voice, strong and unshaken. "Stay, do not fight. No matter what." The predator's growl rumbled like thunder. Its eyes burned hotter. For a moment, the council believed it would break free and slaughter them all. Then, slowly, it lowered its head once again. The drones fired. Bolts of lethal energy slammed into its body. Armor cracked, blood hissed against the floor. The predator roared with fury and pain, but it did not move. Not against the drones, not against the council. It only stared at the human, and the human, fists clenched, whispered again, "Stay with me." The predator obeyed. The chamber was frozen. Even the chair could not speak, but not everyone accepted. From the shadows of the upper chamber, a hidden assassin raised a rifle. The barrel glowed crimson. This was no test. This was murder. The shot rang out. A beam of lethal plasma streaked across the chamber, aimed not at the predator, but at the human. The predator moved instantly. Chains snapped like twigs. The monster leapt, faster than any eye could follow. It intercepted the shot with its armored flank, sparks exploding across the chamber. The human stumbled back, shielded by the beast's body. The predator roared, the sound shaking the ceiling itself. Guards panicked, weapons raised. The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates screamed. The chair shouted for order. But none of it mattered. The predator was loose. It stood above the human, massive body shielding him from every angle. Its eyes blazed like suns, tail lashing, claws tearing grooves in the floor, and yet it did not attack the council. It only glared at the assassin. The human pointed. "There!" The predator moved like lightning. With a single bound, it crashed into the assassin's perch. Metal shattered. The assassin screamed as claws pinned him to the wall. The predator raised its jaws, ready to kill. "Stop!" the human shouted. The beast froze. The chamber fell silent once more. Every delegate leaned forward, unable to believe. The apex terror, unleashed, unchained with prey in its claws, had stopped, because the human told it to. Guards swarmed the assassin, dragging him away. The predator returned to the human's side, blood seeping from its wounds but still standing. Tall, It lowered its head beside him, chest heaving with restrained fury. The chair's staff trembled in its grip. Its voice, ancient and broken, spoke words no one believed they would ever hear. This is not possible. No weapon could hold that beast. No mind could command it. And yet, you did. The human placed a hand on the predator's head. Steady. Calm. I did not command, he said. I asked. And it chose. The chamber was silent. Some stared in awe, some in horror. Others whispered fearfully among themselves, and one thought spread across the council like wildfire. If humans could tame death itself, what else could they tame? The predator stood tall again, its golden eyes sweeping across the chamber. Every alien flinched beneath its gaze. Every voice was silent. And then, to the shock of all, the predator lowered itself once more, bowing to the human. The galaxy had witnessed the impossible, and in that silence, one truth burned into every mind. Humanity was no longer just another species. Humanity had changed the balance of power forever. The council chamber was no longer a place of order. It was war. The failed assassination had broken the fragile balance. As the captured sniper was dragged away, hidden cells of conspirators struck. From the shadows, panels in the high walls split open, revealing black-armored figures with glowing rifles. The chamber filled with streaks of plasma fire. Council members screamed as explosions rattled the chamber's core. Guards scrambled to form a defense, but confusion reigned. The assassins hadn't come for the predator, they had come for the human. The predator roared, a sound that tore through the storm of battle like thunder. Its golden eyes blazed. For the first time, it was unchained, free to move as it wished, and it chose to protect. The human dove behind a shattered bench, barely avoiding a plasma bolt that turned the marble into molten slag. Smoke filled the air. Alien delegates huddled behind broken pillars, some activating personal shields, others frozen in fear. The assassins advanced, their weapons raised. The predator struck. It leapt into the nearest group, claws flashing like blades, armor shredded like paper. One assassin screamed before being flung across the chamber. Another was crushed beneath a single strike of its massive tail. The human rose to his feet, eyes locked on the chaos. "Stay close!" he shouted. The predator obeyed, circling him like a living wall of teeth and fury. Every assassin that came close was torn apart. But the human did not cower. He seized a fallen guard's weapon, a sleek plasma carbine, and charged forward through the smoke. His movements were sharp, precise, not like a delegate, but like a soldier who had seen war. Bolts of plasma streaked past him. He returned fire, striking one assassin in the chest, then another in the shoulder. The predator crashed into a third before it could finish the human with a blade. Together, they moved as one. The chamber had never seen such a sight, a human and the galaxy's deadliest predator fighting side by side. From the upper balconies, alien delegates watched in awe and terror. "Look at them," one shrieked. "It's unnatural," another cried. "No," whispered a third. "It's unity." Even the chair stood frozen, tendrils quivering, torn between ordering the guards to fire on the predator or letting it fight. Every second, the balance of belief shifted. The assassins realized brute force would not be enough. They regrouped, activating heavy disruptors. The chamber shook as concussive blasts tore through stone and steel. The predator staggered under a direct hit, scales cracking. Blood glowed along its wounds. But when another shot came for the human, the beast lunged into the blast, shielding him again. The human's face twisted with fury. "You're not alone!" He fired back relentlessly, pushing forward with the predator at his side. One assassin tried to flank them, but the predator's jaws snapped shut, ending the threat in a heartbeat. Smoke, blood, and fire filled the council chamber. A whisper of static crawled across the walls. The shields flickered. For 1 second the room was dark. For 1 second the protective barrier was gone. That was all it took. Shadows poured in through the walls, figures cloaked in black armor, blades and rifles glowing faintly blue. Silent, precise, merciless, the first assassin leapt straight for the human's bed, but he didn't reach it. The predator exploded from the darkness, jaws snapping shut around the attacker. Armor crumpled like foil. Blood sprayed the walls. The corpse dropped before it could scream. The others opened fire. Bolts of plasma lit the room. Furniture burned. The walls glowed red. The human rolled across the floor, pistol blazing, each shot sharp and precise. One assassin dropped with a hole through its visor. Another staggered back, chest armor shattered. The predator crashed into the third. Claws tearing through weapons and bone alike. The room was chaos. The assassins had not come unprepared. Two hurled shock nets, glowing webs of electric fire, at the predator. The nets wrapped around its body, sparking violently. The beast roared in fury, slamming against the walls, shaking the entire chamber. "Hold on!" the human shouted, firing at the generators on the nets. Sparks erupted as one shattered. The predator tore the second apart with its claws, smoke rising from its scorched hide. The beast lunged, seizing an assassin in its jaws and flinging the broken body across the room. The human ducked beneath another plasma blade, slamming his pistol into the assassin's throat, then firing point-blank. The alien fell, gurgling. Blood and smoke filled the air. The last assassin hesitated. He was different. His armor was marked with silver insignia, the crest of a council guard. The human froze for half a second, recognition dawning. These weren't outsiders. These weren't mercenaries. They were council's own. The assassin spoke, his voice a hiss. "You should have died in the chamber. You should never have lived to see this night." The human's eyes narrowed. "Who sent you?" The assassin raised his blade. "The ones who know the truth. Humanity must not rise." Before he could strike, the predator pounced. Its claws pinned the assassin to the floor. Jaws opened, ready to tear him apart. "Wait!" the human shouted. The predator froze, trembling with rage, breath hot and heavy against the assassin's face. The human crouched low, pistol steady. "Who ordered this? Speak!" The assassin laughed bitterly, blood dripping from his mouth. "You think this ends with me? Fool, tonight is only the beginning. We will burn your kind from the stars before you ever take root." He bit down on something hidden in his jaw. His body convulsed. "Poison!" The human snapped. The assassin's body went limp. The predator growled in fury, slamming the corpse aside. The chamber was destroyed. Walls were scorched. Blood pooled across the floor. Smoke curled into the air. The predator stood over the human, breathing heavily, its body scarred and burned but unbroken. The human holstered his weapon, eyes still hard. He looked at the corpses of the assassins. "Council guards," he muttered. This wasn't just an attack. This was sanctioned. The predator's golden eyes glowed, as if it too understood. Someone powerful wanted them dead. At dawn, the council city buzzed with alarm. Security forces swarmed the humans' quarters. Guards stared in horror at the bodies littering the chamber. Delegates arrived, demanding answers. Some looked terrified, others looked guilty. The chair came last, its staff trembling as it surveyed the carnage. Its ancient voice was heavy. "This cannot be. These are our own." The human's reply was cold. "Your own tried to kill me, to kill us both. Do not tell me this was a rogue act. Someone here gave the order." The chamber fell. Silent. Delegates shifted uncomfortably, refusing to meet his gaze. The predator growled, eyes sweeping across them all, as if daring the guilty to step forward. None did. The chair raised its staff high. "This council cannot survive in shadows. If traitors walk among us, we must root them out. But Sith hissed loudly, seizing the moment. "Do you not see? Already humanity brings chaos. Already they divide us. Their presence here is poison. They tame a beast of death, and now our own guards fall. To blood, remove them before it is too late." Some delegates cheered his words, others shouted him down. The chamber split into chaos, and at the center stood the human, silent, with the predator at his side. He did not argue. He did not plead. He only spoke one sentence. "If you believe we are the problem, then you are blind to the real enemy." That night across the galaxy, hidden signals pulsed through secret channels. The failed assassination was only the first move. Fleets stirred in the void. Armies prepared. Old alliances shifted in the shadows, and on a lonely balcony overlooking the alien city, the humans stood with the predator, staring into the stars. "They won't stop," he whispered. The predator rumbled in reply, low and dangerous. The humans' eyes hardened. "Then neither will we." Darkness stretched across the horizon. War was coming. The galaxy held its breath. The council chamber had been rebuilt, though its walls still bore the scars of fire and blood. Delegates gathered once more, their voices sharp with fear, anger, and doubt. At the center stood the human, calm but unyielding. Beside him the predator waited, golden eyes burning in silence. Today the council would decide. The chamber rang with voices before the trial even began. Humanity cannot be trusted. They brought death to our very halls. They saved us when assassins struck. They tame monsters. We are next. Each word was like a blade. Factions clashed, alliances shattered. Some called for humanity's exile, others demanded their execution. A smaller, quieter group whispered of hope, that perhaps humans were not conquerors, but protectors. The chair struck its staff, silencing the storm. Its ancient voice carried the weight of 1,000 worlds. This is no ordinary trial. This is the question of humanity's place in the stars. Do they belong among us, or must they be cast out forever? The chamber fell silent. The human stepped forward. His clothes were plain, but his eyes burned with conviction. "You call me dangerous. You call us reckless. Perhaps you are right. Humanity is not perfect. We have fought wars. We have made mistakes, but we also endured. We survived every trial, every predator, every storm. And we did not survive alone. We endured because we learned to trust, to fight beside those once seen as enemies." He gestured to the predator at his side. The beast rose slowly, towering above the delegates, its body scarred but proud. This creature was your nightmare, the apex terror. You feared it could never be controlled, but it is not controlled. It is not a slave. It is my ally. It chose to fight beside me, and that choice proves a truth you fear to see, that even the deadliest enemy can become something greater. A partner, a protector. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Some leaned forward in awe. Others recoiled in disgust. The human's voice sharpened. "You fear what humanity can do, but maybe what you fear is what humanity can show you about yourselves." Sith rose, his scaled body trembling with rage. His voice hissed like venom. "Do not be deceived. They will turn all predators into pets. They will turn all of us into subjects. You have seen the truth. A single human walks into this chamber and bends death itself to his will. Do you not see the danger? Today it is a beast. Tomorrow it is us." He spread his arms wide, voice rising to a shriek. "If you allow humanity to remain, you are not saving the galaxy. You are surrendering it." His words lit fires in fearful hearts. Many delegates pounded their tables in agreement. The chamber shook with cries of warning, demands for exile, and calls for war. The chair's tendrils quivered, struggling to restore balance. The human did not shout back. He only raised his hand slowly. The predator moved forward. Its claws scraped against the marble floor. Its growl rolled like thunder. It loomed over the chamber, casting its shadow across 100 terrified faces. Then, before the entire council, the apex terror, the destroyer of worlds, the beast of nightmares, bowed its head, not in rage, not in defeat, but in loyalty. The human placed his hand on its scaled head. His voice was steady. You see, power is not always domination. Strength is not always fear. Sometimes strength is trust, and trust is a choice. The chamber was silent. The chair raised its staff. The time has come. We must decide. Lights across the chamber glowed as each delegate cast their vote. The hall filled with pulses of red and blue, fear and acceptance. The human waited in silence. The predator sat beside him, unmoving, a mountain of muscle and scars. The chamber lights flickered. The final tally shone across the walls. It was close, terrifyingly close, but the result was clear. Humanity would not be exiled. They would remain. The chamber erupted into chaos. Some cried in fury, others sighed in relief, a few stared in awe, whispering of destiny. The chair spoke once more. Humanity shall have its place among the stars, not because they are feared, not because they are tamed, but because they have proven what few ever could, that even death itself may bow to trust. The words echoed across the chamber, across the city, and soon across the galaxy. But not all celebrated. Scythe retreated into the darkness of the council halls, his scaled fists trembling with rage. His whisper was colder than space itself. They think this is victory. They think the danger is past, but this is only the beginning. Humanity's rise will bring war, and I will be ready when it comes. His eyes glowed faintly in the dark, a promise, a threat. The Galactic Council chamber shook, not from weapons fire, not from engines, but from something alive, something chained, something that should not have been there. The sound of claws scraping against metal echoed across the great dome, a rhythm that made even the oldest council members tremble in their seats. The walls of the chamber, towering spires of alloy and crystal, seemed smaller that day, as if the very building feared what had entered. The apex terror, the deadliest predator in the galaxy. Stories about this creature filled the archives of every species. Armadas had burned because of it. Colonies had fallen silent in the night. Its roar had carried through the void like a curse. It was a nightmare given form, a living storm of teeth and scales. And now it was here, inside the very heart of Galactic. In power, chains bound its legs. Shackles glowed across its ridged spine, pulsing with blue light. Yet no chain seemed strong enough, no prison thick enough to truly hold it. The predator's molten gold eyes swept across the chamber, and wherever they landed, alien delegates flinched. The silence was broken by a scream, quick, sharp, and swallowed immediately by the echo of the beast's growl. The council had gathered to judge humanity, a young species, a reckless one. Many believed humans were dangerous fools who had stumbled too far into the stars. They were too bold, too unpredictable, too emotional. And now this. To bring a predator like this into the sacred chamber was madness. The apex terror slammed its tail against the floor. The metal rang like a gong. Every alien recoiled, chairs scraping backward, voices rising in fear. Some demanded weapons, others shouted for evacuation. Yet one figure did not move, a human. He stood in the center of the storm, calm where others panicked, steady where others shook. His boots clicked against the polished floor as he stepped forward, closer to the chained monster. Whispers spread like wildfire. Madness. Suicide. He will die. The human ignored them all. His face was unreadable, not arrogant, not foolish, simply steady. He moved with the quiet focus of someone who had seen this beast before, someone who had stared into its eyes and survived. The apex terror growled. The sound rolled through the chamber like thunder, its massive head lowered, teeth glinting in the light of the council lamps. It was close enough now that the human could see saliva glistening between its fangs. The council chair, a being of silver tendrils and ancient wisdom, shouted, "Human, step back! That creature has ended civilizations. It will tear you apart." But the human did not step back. He stepped closer, one pace, another, until the breath of the predator washed over him, hot and foul, like the wind of a dying star. He raised a single hand, slowly, deliberately. Every voice fell silent. Every weapon hummed, ready to fire. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. The human's palm touched the predator's scaled head. Gasps erupted from every corner of the chamber. The predator froze. For a heartbeat, it seemed the universe itself had stopped. No claws lashed out, no jaws snapped shut, no blood was spilled. Instead, the monster stilled. Its golden eyes narrowed. It huffed a deep, rumbling breath, almost like a growl, but softer. Its spines lowered, not in aggression, but in calm. Slowly, impossibly, it leaned into the human's hand. The chamber went deathly quiet. Every alien stared, their minds breaking against the sight. This was the apex terror, the destroyer, the unkillable nightmare, the beast of endless hunts. No one had ever stood before it and lived. Armies had failed, fleets had burned, entire worlds had screamed as it descended from the stars. And here it was, submitting. The human's voice finally broke the silence. It was quiet but steady, carrying across the chamber with clarity no sound system could match. "You fear what you do not understand, but we humans, we learned to tame our fears long ago." The predator's chest rumbled, not in anger, something else, something like contentment. Council delegates began to whisper frantically, "This is impossible. No species has ever—" "What kind of beings are humans?" The council chair slammed its staff, calling for order, but its voice shook. Even it could not deny what it saw. The human slowly lowered his hand, then stepped back. The predator did not lunge, did not strike, did not kill. Instead, it lowered its massive head, pressing it to the ground in front of the human, an act no council member had ever imagined possible. Silence filled the chamber. For the first time in history, the apex terror bowed. The council, a body of hundreds of species, sat frozen. Their laws, their records, their very understanding of nature had just been shattered in a single heartbeat. The predator had submitted to a human, and the galaxy would never be the same. The apex terror had bowed. But silence in the council chamber did not last. It broke like shattered glass, with voices rising all at once, fearful, angry, desperate. "This is a trick. The beast is waiting for the kill. No creature can be tamed. It is death itself." Some delegates shouted for security. Others demanded the human be restrained. More than a few screamed for the predator's immediate execution. The sound of hundreds of species speaking at once rose like a storm, filling the air with panic. The predator lifted its head and growled, low and menacing. The sound was not loud, but it was enough. Instantly the shouting stopped. Delegates froze in terror. Weapons hummed in the hands of nervous guards. The human, however, did not flinch. He stepped forward, between the predator and the council, as though his small body could shield them from the mountain of scaled death behind him. His voice was calm, steady, unshaken. "Look at it," the human said. "If it wanted blood, we would already be dead. You all know this." Murmurs rippled across the chamber. Some agreed. Others shook their heads violently. The council chair raised its staff, demanding silence. Its silver tendrils quivered with agitation. "Human," it said, "you risk the lives of every being in this chamber. That creature has slain billions. No fleet has contained it. No weapon has stopped it. And yet you dare to stand there and claim it trusts you?" The human's eyes did not waver. Yes. A collective gasp spread through the council seats. The chair recoiled slightly, as if the word itself was an offense. No species, no force in this galaxy has ever commanded that thing. Even its name, Apex Terror, was chosen because it exists beyond control. And yet you claim to hold its leash? Madness. The human did not smile, did not gloat. He simply looked back at the predator, then at the council again. Madness is refusing to see the truth when it stands before you. The predator's glowing eyes swept across the room. Any alien who met them turned away in fear. But when the eyes settled back on the human, the monster lowered its spines and exhaled like a patient beast awaiting orders. Weapons across the chamber rose higher. Security drones swarmed forward, their cannons glowing with charged energy. One wrong move, and the chamber would become a killing field. The predator sensed it too. It growled, scales bristling, teeth baring in warning. The human raised a hand, not to the council but to the beast. A simple gesture, no words. The predator stopped, watching the human closely. Then slowly, impossibly, it lay down. Shock ran through the chamber like lightning. The chair's voice quivered, struggling for authority. This cannot be. This is some trick of your species, a drug, a device. No creature like that obeys willingly. The human shook his head. No trick, no leash, just understanding. On Earth, we learned long ago that even the fiercest predator can form a bond. Wolves became our allies. Beasts became our companions. We hunted with them. We lived with them. We thrived with them. Fear is only the first step. Trust is the next. The alien delegates whispered frantically. Some laughed bitterly, dismissing the words. Others stared at the predator with wide, terrified eyes, realizing that everything they believed about it might be wrong. One delegate, a reptilian being with scarred scales, slammed its clawed hand on the table. Lies! This is no wolf, no beast of your primitive planet. This is extinction made flesh. It does not bond, it devours. The predator turned its massive head, eyes glowing, teeth glinting. The reptilian delegate froze, every muscle trembling. The predator snarled, but only for a moment. Then it looked back at the human, calm once again. The human's voice was steady, cutting through the fear. Then explain why I still live. The chamber went silent again. Every delegate searched for an answer, but none could give one. Finally, the council chair leaned forward. Its tendrils swayed slowly, as if weighed down by the weight of centuries. If your words are true, human, if you truly have bonded with this thing, then prove it, not to us, to the galaxy. The human nodded. I will. The assassins unleashed their final weapon. A massive war drone descended from the ceiling, cannons glowing with lethal energy. Its metal frame was twice the size of the predator, bristling with weapons. Delegates panicked. Guards fell back. The chamber shook as the drone leveled its cannons at the human. The predator roared and launched itself at the machine. Metal screamed under its claws, but the drone struck back, hurling the beast into a pillar. The impact shattered stone. The predator staggered to its feet, blood streaming down its scaled armor. The human ran forward, shouting above the chaos. "You're stronger than this, together!" The predator's eyes locked onto him. Golden fire burned within. With a roar, it surged forward again. The human fired at the drone's cannons, blasting apart its targeting sensors. Sparks rained. The predator leapt, tearing through the drone's armored chest. With one final strike of its claws, it ripped the machine apart, sending shards crashing across the chamber. Silence followed the explosion. The assassins were broken. The predator returned. To the human's side, bloodied but unbowed. It lowered its head, breathing heavily, and once again it obeyed. The chamber was in ruins. Smoke curled from shattered pillars. The floor was slick with blood and oil. Delegates trembled in silence. The human stood at the center, weapon still. In hand, the predator beside him. The chair raised its staff slowly. Its voice was shaken. Never, in all our history, has such a thing been seen. A human and the apex terror as allies. Whispers spread like fire. If they can tame what else could they do? Is humanity a threat or a savior? The predator growled softly, eyes scanning the chamber, but it did not move. It stayed at the human's side, waiting. The human lowered his weapon and placed a hand on the beast's head. His voice was calm, but filled with warning. You see now, it does not obey because it must. It obeys because it chooses. The chamber fell silent. From the far corner of the ruined chamber, one surviving assassin pulled himself from the rubble. His mask was shattered, revealing reptilian eyes filled with hate. He pointed at the human, voice hissing. This is not victory. This is the beginning. If humans can tame the apex terror, then the galaxy itself will fall to them. He bit down on a hidden capsule. His body convulsed, then exploded in a flash of fire. The blast ripped open the chamber wall, revealing the void of space beyond. Delegates screamed as shields snapped into place. The human shielded his eyes from the fire. The predator roared, tail lashing, sparks raining across its scales. And in that final moment, every council member understood. This was no longer about one predator. It was about humanity's place in the galaxy. The balance of power had changed forever. Smoke still clung to the shattered council chamber. Cracked marble floors and charred steel walls whispered of the battle that had nearly torn the heart of the galaxy apart. At the center stood the human and the predator. The apex terror, blood still dripping from its wounds, sat calmly beside its unlikely companion. Its golden eyes scanned the delegates, not as prey, but as witnesses, and they had seen enough to never forget. The delegates argued loudly, their voices sharp with fear. This is manipulation. No beast can be trusted. If they can tame it, what else can they tame? Others trembled, with awe instead of fear. Did you see how it protected him? It fought for him, not against him. Perhaps humanity is not what we believed. The chamber became a storm of voices. The predator growled softly, silencing half the crowd instantly. The chair raised its staff. Its voice shook, not with fear, but with exhaustion. Order. We must restore order. Silence followed. The chair's gaze turned to the human. You have shown us something beyond belief. But proof of loyalty is not proof of intent. Humanity must explain itself. The human stepped forward. His face was streaked with smoke, his clothes torn from battle, but his eyes were steady. You fear what you do not understand. This predator chose to stand with me, not because I control. Not because of chains, but because we trusted each other. A delegate hissed from the shadows. Trust with a galaxy killer. The human's voice hardened. Perhaps that is the lesson you've forgotten. You call yourselves advanced, but you still believe strength is only fear and domination. Humanity learned differently. We survived because we made allies out of enemies. We turned predators into partners. That is our way. The chamber fell into uneasy silence. Not everyone was convinced. In the far circle, the reptilian delegate's teeth raised, his scaled hand. His voice cut like a knife. Or perhaps this is the beginning of your conquest. Today you tame a predator. Tomorrow you tame us all. The words slithered into every ear, feeding doubt. Delegates shifted uneasily. Some nodded, others frowned, but none dismissed the fear. The human did not flinch. If humanity wanted conquest, we wouldn't come with words. We wouldn't ask. We wouldn't stand here unarmed, with only one of our kind before your armies. We would already be at war. The predator growled, as if to punctuate his words. The chair lowered its staff, voice heavy with centuries of judgment. This council cannot decide in haste. We are divided. Some see hope, some see danger. Until this matter is resolved, humanity's place remains uncertain. Delegates erupted again. Uncertain. After what we saw, they are too dangerous. They may be the future we need. The chamber fractured into factions, those who admired humanity's courage and those who saw only a rising threat. Later, when the chamber emptied, whispers spread through the city. Assassins had infiltrated the council itself. The attack had been planned, but by whom? No one claimed responsibility. Some said it was a rogue faction, others said it was Sith's people, and still more believed the most dangerous theory of all, that the attack had been arranged by members of the council itself to discredit humanity, to ensure the Predator was destroyed, to bury the truth before it could change the galaxy. In a quiet hall, the chair summoned the human. The Predator lay curled beside him like a mountain of shadows, breathing slowly. The chair studied him with tired eyes. You are young. Your species is young. And yet you wield something even the ancients fear. Do you understand what you've done? The human's voice was calm. I didn't plan this. I didn't come to tame a predator. I came to prove we belonged here, to show that humanity has something to offer. The chair leaned closer. Its silver tendrils brushed the floor. Hope is dangerous. Fear is stronger. Many on this council now see you as a threat. They will not rest until you are gone. The human's jaw tightened. Then they'll have to try harder. The Predator stirred, golden eyes glowing in the dim light. Far across the council's vast city, Sith met in secret chambers with cloaked figures. They believe the human is special, he hissed. They are fools. Humanity is disease. If this truth spreads, every predator, every weapon, every danger in the galaxy will fall to their will. The cloaked figure nodded slowly. Then the solution is simple. We erase the human. Quietly. Permanently. And the beast? Scythe asked. The figure's voice was cold. It dies screaming. That night the human stood at the window of his quarters, staring at the alien skyline. Lights stretched into the void like veins of fire. The Predator rested. Nearby, its massive body curled protectively around the room. One golden eye half open, always watching. The human whispered into the night. They fear us, not because we are dangerous, but because we refuse to be weak. The Predator rumbled softly as though it understood, but deep in the city's shadows, assassins gathered once more. This time their orders were clear. Not an attack on the council, not a test. This time it would be a kill. The human turned from the window, sensing movement. The Predator's eye snapped fully open, glowing in the dark. Its body tensed, claws scraping the floor. Outside, footsteps echoed, silent, too silent. Figures moved in the halls, and in the darkness of the council city, a voice whispered, "Tonight the human dies." The city never truly slept. Lights of alien towers burned like stars against the endless void. Ships drifted between docking spires. Markets glowed even at the darkest hours. But inside the council's inner sanctum, silence hung heavy. The humans' quarters lay high above the city. Floor surrounded by shields and guards. By day, it was the safest place in the galaxy. By night, it became a trap. The Predator stirred first. Its golden eye opened wide, glowing faintly in the darkness. Muscles tightened under its scarred hide. A low growl rumbled through its chest. The human awoke instantly. Soldiers slept like rocks. Survivors did not. He sat upright in the bed, hand reaching for the plasma pistol he kept by his side. "What is it?" The Predator didn't answer with words, only with movement. It rose slowly, each step silent, despite its massive claws. Its body shifted low, tail lashing once, teeth bared. Then the human heard it too. Footsteps, soft, too soft. The kind that only killers made.